Well, that's interesting is that we actually see the recovery coming through other regions in the world. Of course, China, the Chinese consumer, extremely important for the luxury sector for a company like LVMH, the larger luxury group in the world. As you say, it was interesting because, as you said, sales were up 84% in Q2 to 14.7 billion euros. Remember that the first half of last year was the toughest one for LVMH. Of course, the impact of the pandemic, the lack of international travel impacting their business there. We've seen Chinese consumers repatriating some of their luxury purchases back home, and we see very much the momentum coming into the luxury sector. And interesting, they gave a comparison to 2019 to be able to strip away the pandemic effect, and they say their profit from recurring operations were up 44% compared to 2019, and sales for the first half up 14% compared to 2019. And looking at the division, it's still very much the fashion and leather division, the one that makes the lion's share of profit for the group there, roaring back as well. Revenue up 120% in Q2 compared to 2020 and up 40% compared to 2019. But other divisions did well as well. Wine and spirit, good performance for champagne and also for cognac in China in particular. Jewelry, Tiffany's, of course, you remember they acquired in January for $16 billion. They said it performed extremely well since its acquisition. The only one slightly more difficult, of course, is still the travel retail, where their brands like Sephora or DFS, where they say the lack of international travel is still impacting this side of the business. The regions all doing well. Asia, sales up 55% in the second quarter. They were already up 86% in the first quarter. But North America and Europe was a region that was still negative in the first quarter, really coming back there. We see as the restrictions have been lifted and shops reopening, economy growing back into force, their sales in Europe up 87% in the second quarter. The CFO speaking last night after the results were published said there's still no sign of weakening from the Chinese demand, and also said they see some room for maneuver on the margin to do some reinvestment in the second half of the year, including on marketing. They've done some smaller investments in the past few weeks and few months, but no big acquisition on the horizon for LVMH. They're still very much focusing on integrating Tiffany's. And again, we see LVMH in the green this morning. Also, several brokers raising their price target for LVMH, and we see LVMH shares up 1.2% on the CAC 40.